All in all, Dad Was a Carpenter was the richest, most exciting, and most informative experience I've had with publishing. And as a result, it really taught me a lot of things, like who I could depend on. I'd like to share a couple of those with you now. One is that no matter who publishes you, you are going to promote it if you're the author. They can have 10 people sitting around a mahogany table and telling you what they're going to do, but like my agent said, they're going to do it for like 2 weeks till the next author comes along. The second thing is that means that you have to get out and do the legwork to promote your book. And so I've continued to do that, set up speaking engagements, book fairs. I've gone to many, and continue to sign the book and enter all the contests that I can find in order to get further recognition to sell the book. Many people have contacted me over the years to ask me about how to write a memoir. And I stumbled across basically a formula that I think works and works well. And it's very simple, but if you stick to it, you have a much greater chance of writing something that other people will want to read. That's because there's really kind of two ways to write about your life or the life of someone else. One is the methodology that my Uncle Evan is doing, who's writing his life history. It's like up to 8 volumes now, and it is full of the most fantastic, marvelous, and interesting detail. And it literally covers every year of his life. In fact, one time when I went to visit him a few years back, his wife, Mavis, complained to me that he had written 6 volumes and still hadn't met her. He met her when he was 18 or 19. So he had this wealth of information that he was putting into this book. And I'm really glad that he's doing that, because his grandchildren and children and great-grandchildren are going to read this book for decades to come and really enjoy knowing about what Evan did in his life. That's great, but that book will probably never be out in your local Barnes & Noble. The reason is it's a day-by-day account. It's a journal. In a way, it's a diary. And the connotation of those two terms are very intimate, personal stuff. And that's great. I even think there's a difference inside of that difference, which is that a journal is something that you write for public, meaning family, dissemination. But a diary is something you write for yourself. In it, you tell the truth about your life. And that is maybe something that you might not want the whole world, or at least your world, to know about. But it's helpful for you. So I have always kept a diary, and I've been really honest on it. I doubt I'm ever going to let anybody read it. I've also kept a journal of more public things like I'm doing here, and I'm happy to do that. But there's a difference between a diary and a journal and a memoir. A memoir is not a day-by-day, blow-by-blow description of your life. A memoir follows a theme. And a theme is the story that you're telling. And what you include in the story has to go toward the theme. When Dad Was a Carpenter came out, one of my sisters came to me and said, "But you forgot to put this and this and this experience in. These were all formative and important experiences. Why did you leave them out?" I said, they weren't applicable to the theme. She didn't understand what the theme was. She thought that the theme was about my dad's life and the way he learned to trust God from the time he was a little boy until he died of Lou Gehrig's disease, and how that faith and belief translated into action, and how he became a remarkable man, a great father, and a faithful, loving husband. A great example to all of us of how to be all those things. I said, "Don't you get it, though? The book is not about Dad. I mean, look at every one of the stories in the book. Sorry to say, the book's about me and Dad, and how Dad changed my life." through the things we experienced together. So my book was an attempt to describe instances in which my father and I sometimes clashed, sometimes meshed, and he taught me how to become a man. The theme of Dad Was a Carpenter is that, how to teach a boy to become a man. People who read it, men especially, men of my age especially, get it. They don't have to be told. They understand immediately. They can go directly to the touchstones in their own life with their father or their grandfather or their uncle or some important man in their life that helped them become the person they wanted to be. That happened to me. I wrote about it in Dad Was a Carpenter. It became a success. This is why I didn't include a lot of other stories that were maybe more interesting or more fun or more illuminative to him. But they weren't about his relationship with me and his lesson or the theme of how do you teach a boy to become a man. That theme, if you understand that before you start to write your memoir, then you will be able to avoid 12 volumes of a journal or 100 volumes of a diary, and you'll get down to one little narrow volume that's a memoir that is the theme of the life of your subject. I think everybody should know the theme of their own life. If you do, you'll begin to understand what God has in mind for you in your life and why you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing. It's been my experience that once I grasped my theme, what I was here to do and experience and learn, the stuff that I was here to do naturally sorted itself out as to what was important. And I made changes in my life according to that understanding of my theme. Now, many of those changes have dismayed people who know me. And they've misinterpreted them as errors. But I'm pretty sure that the theme of my life, knowing what it is, has helped me make the right choices as to what I value, what I don't, what I put in my pack and take with me on my journey, and what I leave behind. Knowing my own theme has helped me understand more about how to recognize themes in other people's lives. And it's made memoir writing a lot easier and more understandable, not only to me, but to those who read about it. And as I continue to write, I have to also invent a theme for even my fictional characters. Fictional characters also have a theme. For example, Indiana Jones has a theme in his life, and it isn't just getting beat up and finding buried treasure. His theme, brought out nicely in the third movie, is he's got daddy issues. He doesn't understand his father. He doesn't feel understood by his father. And a lot of what he does is a result of that lack of understanding. That theme of Indiana Jones' life is really what made that third movie so successful. Now, of course, every life, even Indiana Jones, has more than one theme. But when you write a memoir, you have to choose which one or two, maybe, themes you're going to focus on. I've chosen to write in a lot of my writing about fathers and sons. I am fascinated by it, and I think there's a lot of wonderful information there to learn about and to share with the world. When you write your stories, I hope you too understand your themes. I think as a result of knowing the theme that I was writing about made Dad Was a Carpenter the great success that it was, and what launched me on a adventure of writing that's now into my 13th book, which we'll talk about later. Thanks for your time.